You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM. The Jay Allen Show is streaming now on safetyfm.live.
Well, hello and welcome to the Jay Allen Show. Today's Tuesday, August 25th of 2020. I want to let you know that today's conversation takes a deep dive into the book, The Practice of Learning Teams. We're going to talk about the book, the idea behind the book. We're also going to talk about a contest about giving away a few copies of the book. And this is not going to be exclusive just to the US, but it's going to be open worldwide. So sit back, enjoy this conversation that I have today with Brent Sutton, Glynis McCarthy, and Brent Robinson. I think you're really going to enjoy what they have to say. Welcome to the Jay Allen Show. So I wanted to do this, and as you guys are aware, wanted to definitely have the conversation, but wanted to take a little bit of some different approaches of what Todd had done, if you don't mind. But of course, wanted to really get into the book as well. But I don't know this, and I think the audience might be interested. But how did the group get to know each other? How did the whole thing kind of start?
Brent and I, we go back quite a long way, don't we? We first met each other in high school. So it's a long time ago.
So now were you in New Zealand or Australia or neither?
New Zealand.
Okay.
Both in Auckland.
And so Glenn, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, it started off in an interesting way, and it's been a friendship that's endured over the years, so it's been good.
But at that point, what's the common interest back then? It's not safety at the time. So what brings you together?
Well, back then I think it was photography. It ended up being the thing that we both got into. Wouldn't you say, Brent? That would be the common interest back then?
Yeah, and a bit of hate. I think those two things.
Yeah, a bit of hate.
Oh, you have to go further with that.
I was going to leave it alone, but Brent went there, and that's fine. We started off on either sides of the playground, probably at one stage. So end up getting together in the end.
Okay, so this is the PG version then.
Yeah. Brent Robinson would say he was in the cool group. I would say I'm in the cool group. So somehow one of us were in the cool group, but we'll let that one work out over time.
So then at what point does Glynis, when do you come into the picture?
So Brent and I worked together before I really came into sort of working exclusively in health and safety. Brent and I worked together at the National Centre for Adult Literacy in the workforce. And a lot of what I did then was supporting companies and governments to think about how they could engage with workers that might have literacy and language barriers around lots of different contexts, but a lot of it was around health and safety. So we were working together. I think we've been working together now, Brent, what is it, 6 or 7 years?
Yes. Easily the equivalent sentence of murder, I would say. And
boy, it's just rough today.
Yeah. No, look, it was fascinating because, Jay, I had just sold my business to a multinational, and I was spending some time to reflect. And I was really interested to explore this whole notion of what I called safety literacy. And at that point, the organisation Glynis was working with was looking for some assistance or some support around the whole health and safety component. So I basically felt that it was so left field that it might be worth spending a bit of time together. And I have to say it's been very enduring since that time, Glynis.
You chose the word enduring.
I think a lot of our practice has really been enhanced by the time that we spent together working for the National Centre for Adult Literacy in the Workplace. It certainly frames a lot of my own practice, and it really makes you think about some of the barriers that impede really good engagement with workers. And given that we, acknowledge that workers bring some expertise, a great deal of expertise around work is done, it's really good then to have quite a firm understanding of what those barriers might look like in terms of language, in terms of literacy, in terms of how you have to sometimes present information in a different way because of those barriers that might be in place.
So let me kind of flip the script a little bit here. So Brent Robinson, are you involved at this point too, or are you not involved in this particular sequence?
I'm not involved in that sequence. Brent and I, though, have, been involved with sort of discussing safety over, Brent, I'm just trying to think, probably over the last 6 or 7 years. And in the business that I've been working in, we've used Brent's business quite a few times to get, to help us with a lot of stuff, all the way back to a major incident we had in Auckland, in one of our operations in Auckland. And, and then speaking with Brent, one of the things that I was getting out of it, so I came from a quality background many years ago. And, I've been in operations and in sales and marketing and product development. And I was finding with safety that we're doing these incident investigations, and it always seemed to end up around the blaming the worker, and then speaking to Brent, we're having these conversations around, well, it's your systems. The systems that you've got are weak, and the workers don't come to work to be hurt, and that really sort of aligned with me, because it's the way I thought about quality and Deming, and the way Deming approached quality about, get rid of the checklists and these numerical goals that you're having. And then he introduced me to Todd, and that's when I met you guys last year. And it really, it was that aha moment, where this makes a whole bunch of sense. It's what's, what's new is, or what's old is new again, and it's aligning with safety now. And I really liked it, and we've had this ongoing conversation for a long period of time. I've done, some work in lean, and the two things to me really align. And that's sort of where Brent and I have been discussing how the two things work really well together. And then, doing little micro experimentations where we can with different businesses. And I do some mentoring for some smaller businesses in Australia as well. And we've been trying it out there, and it's been really interesting. And so my real interest now is in this construction market and, construction safety. And that's very much about, lots of forms and lots of ticking and flicking. And I think it's time to see how we can improve that. Not saying that that's wrong. I think you need that. Some of that, you need compliance. You need those compliance tools. But I think you can have much better conversations around safety.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And now the interesting part is that you mentioned Deming and then you mentioned Conklin. And so let me kind of just ask the question, who discovers Todd Conklin's stuff first? And which, is it a book? Is it a presentation? Or is it the man himself that's discovered?
I think I discovered Todd, if that's what the question is about.
Right.
And it was interesting, Jay. A good friend of mine said, "Look, I've got a free complimentary ticket for this conference, and there's this crazy guy talking. Would you like to come along?" And
not much has changed. He is still crazy, right?
Yeah, and I looked at my calendar, and I had a free time, and I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? I end up getting a free lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting here listening to this guy, and in the book I talk about it. Todd's opening slide is, never mix a sleeping pill and a laxative together. And for whatever reason, that resonated with my dark humour. And it's been, I suppose I'd call it a bromance ever since, because what Todd talked about really resonated with my deep underlying principles and value.
So just to make sure that some of the people that might have not heard the other episode that you were on here on the show, that was the event where they lost his suitcase before he got there, correct?
Oh, things are always lost when Todd travels. So I think that was probably one of the cases, absolutely.
No, because if I remember correctly, you had mentioned on the last time that you were on, or the second to last time that you were on, that was when he was in shorts, I believe it was, his Crocs, and on the stage in that aspect.
Yes. Which would be great if you're arriving in the Bahamas, but he was here in the middle of our winter.
Oh, that's terrible. So as you guys start you take a look at this, and so do you go into Pre-Accident, the book next, or do you take a look at Better Questions first? Because I want to get to how did you start lining up to get to your book. So what are you taking a look at it as work right away? Are you starting from the very beginning?
Well, look, I mean, Better Questions was the book. I mean, I've read all of Todd's books, but I suppose for me, putting Hop aside, because that's its own sort of area. What drew probably my attention the most was about this notion of learning teams and this whole concept of looking at things from a restorative component rather than a retributive component, and how learning was so important. And I think that resonated very strongly with the work that Glynis and I had been doing as well, about understanding what that learning looked like. And at the same time, I was completing my certificate in adult education and also sort of teaching the diploma in safety. So all these things all sort of molded together. It was just, a lot of it was purely coincidental.
So who do you go to first? Do you go to Glynis first, or do you go to Brent Robinson first to talk about what you've discovered?
Both. I raved onto both of them like a madman.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he was super excited by it, and he's trying to explain it to me. And we live about 2,000 kilometers apart, so I'm trying to understand, and going onto the web and working out what he's talking about. And those moments that you have. My youngest is involved in a youth group, and they do a lot of outdoor adventure and stuff. And they had a major incident where one kid fell and ended up being airlifted, and so they did an incident investigation about why it happened. Well, they're young, and their risk profile is slightly different to ours as we get older. And anyway, they came out with all this paperwork, and Brent said to me, he said, what you should do is get the kids together and get them to do their own risk assessment. You're trying to get 14-year-old kids to read 10 pages of risk assessment written by an adult. And we did. We ran a learning team. And it changed the way that organization looked at it. And it was really, really cool. And it was just like, wow, here's these kids who are actually doing it, saying, well, these are the risks I can see when we do this and this and this. And then we got them, and it was run by the kids. So the older kids worked with the younger kids. We gave them the framework about the questions, and then they came up with their mitigation. They had adult help with some of that stuff, but we then took a photo of the sticky notes on the wall, and that was their document they went with. And it was
very nice.
It was like, wow, if we can get young people to do this, and we had a couple of crazy things like, could get eaten by a dinosaur, or you could, meteor strike or something like that. But the group actually funneled it out themselves, and it was totally unimpeded. And I said to Brent, I sent him a couple of photos and a bit of video we had of it, and I said, wow, I see what you're talking about now. And it just went on from there.
So Glynis, let me go to you real quick. So when you hear this and Brent Sutton's talking to you about everything that's going on, what are you thinking at the time?
What I thought was that it is an extension of a lot of work that I've done prior, but purely in adult education space. So for me, the idea that you can talk meaningfully to a group of workers about a situation that they are facing, and that they can bring something to the table, that makes sense to me. I think that sometimes we have to change our approach, because sometimes, as I said, the workers might have quite diverse skills. So you might not be able to communicate the way that you might do with, say, management. So you might need to change your approach. But the idea that talking in a really meaningful way to a group of workers about what they have expertise around really does make some sense. And it is something that Brent and I were doing probably in a slightly different guise when we had worked previously together. So when we started talking about it in this sense, in a health and safety sense, I thought it was an extension of practice. I thought it was something that really has the potential to do, provide a great deal of insight and value in terms of how organisations marry the difference between how they think work is being done and how work really is being done.
So as the group moves forward, what do you take away from Better Question? What principles, what concepts do you say, okay, we're going to use this to make the book? I mean, the practice of learning teams. What do you decide that we're going to use these key concepts or principles to move forward with?
I don't think it was as easy as sequenced as that.
It never is, of course.
No, because we really were experimenting. We were taking those core principles. Well, they weren't core principles because they weren't defined as core principles. But we took I suppose what Todd was trying to say, and we wanted to micro experiment. We wanted to push our boundaries, and when it worked well, it was amazing. And when it didn't work well, I really struggled to reflect on that because I took it about that I was sort of lacking somehow. And I think if we go back to the epicenter, what made us then drive to want to go to that next stage was that both Brent Robinson and myself, we went up to Denver for that group. I think it was, we call it the big speak or the big
discussion.
The big discussion. I almost called it the big question, but yeah, it was the big discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we met you, Jay, for the first time. And I was sitting there, and I could just see that this group of highly intelligent individuals doing this stuff for a very, very long time still had these what I term wanting questions. And I said to myself, if these guys have been doing this for a long time and they're still questioning themselves in certain areas, maybe what we need to do is actually to support them or assist them by making some of these principles more transparent. And then we're really fortunate that Todd came down to New Zealand just over a year ago now and did a nationwide tour of our country talking about learning teams. And both Glynis and I were met up with Todd. And, of course, we met up over lunch because all the best things happen with food, I might add. And that's where the challenge came out was, if you want to make a difference, write a book. And that's really where it stemmed from there.
So what is his selling point to you at that time? What does he end up telling you in regards of make a difference, write a book? What does he tell you? Because I know how Todd is. So how does he go about doing this? Because did he come that straight out and say it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I remember what mouthful he was eating at the time. Because it really was about this whole thing that because we're having an interesting conversation about this whole notion of weaponization, and I've seen a lot of systems be given bad names because people have weaponized them not through their own failings, but simply because they knew no better. And I saw that learning teams in particular could become such a powerful means of understanding that we really owed it to the community to try and support them and to give us some, I suppose, better reflection or build about what type of skills did a person need.
Now, at this point, is this when you have the conversation with him about actually doing the forward to the book, or does he offer this up to you?
What do you recall, Glynis? I don't think we ever talked about that. I think that we imposed that on Todd later on.
Yeah, I think so. I think certainly from my perspective, we had been talking to Todd a little bit about what we were trialing and what was working for us, what wasn't working for us. And he said at the time, this would be a really good thing to put down on paper because these are the struggles that everybody else has. when you start to embark on learning teams. You just said a few moments ago, Brent, that, there are times when you think, oh, this is so easy, and it all just sort of comes together, and you just come to the end of it and you think, oh, I'm so great at this. And then there are other times where you think, that was really hard work. It was really like pushing the proverbial uphill. And you think, oh, what could I have done differently? And certainly early on, we did a lot of discussion between us all about what was working, what wasn't. And I remember that Todd had kind of just asked those pivotal questions about practice, and it really made us think about, well, what is working for us? What are the times that we feel that we're more successful in terms of that facilitating role, and what are the times when actually it's really hard work? What is it that we could do differently to really engage with this group of people and to help this group of people do much deeper problem identification, rather than sometimes where we'd let go of it and it'll get straight over to problem solution. So for me, the reason that the book came about was that Todd was saying to us, talking to us about practice, getting us to review our own practice, and he was then saying to us, you should write this down.
So, Glynis, do you contact Brent Robinson to let him know that this is the next idea that's coming up, or does Brent Sutton do so?
I think we all need to pay homage to Brent Sutton. He is the mover and shaker amongst us all. He is the fellow that says, right, this is what's happening, and he's certainly the spark between us all.
I would agree with that.
You know that you guys are putting this on recording, saying that he is the mover and the shaker of the group, right? I just want to make sure we're clear here.
I've never won a dance contest yet.
That he's admitted to, at least, anyway.
Well, the next time you come to the U.S., we might need to make the change on that then.
There's an offer, Brent.
I think, Jay, there's enough flashing lights in your studio that we could turn it into a dance floor.
We could probably do so. So the idea is now presented. You decide to move forward with the book. What do you decide to start using? What is the data set that you say, okay, this is where we're going to move forward with?
From my point of view, here's the irony. We decided to run a learning team about learning teams.
Oh, that's so awesome. So give me the layout. How does this work then? How does the learning team about learning teams? How do you present it? And who's the group consist of?
The three of us.
Oh, okay.
And of course, I spoke to Todd, and he said it's either going to be the best frigging thing ever, or it's going to be a total disaster. And we'll let the readers decide on that.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it was really important because it allowed us to reflect. And from that reflection process, we effectively came up with a structure for the book. Using a mind map, we basically created some structure. And I don't know how the other guys feel, but in a lot of ways, we actually stuck to the structure.
There was ongoing discussions along the way about what it was looking like, and and we discussed all the different programs out there like Lean and Agile and those type of things, and then just use some of those experiences that we were having currently on in the very recent era to look at those and go back and look at them again.
So who has the first panic moment of saying, are we doing the right thing? No, we need to rewrite it. Who's the first one to have that moment?
I don't know. I think I had a few panic moments.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had lots of panic moments. And a lot of the time, Brent Sutton was the one to say, let's stay focused. I think what we have tried to do is we've tried to sort of maintain a story sovereignty. And what I mean by that is that we have talked about our experiences through our own lens. So it very much is about a journey that's authentic to each of us. And so we've really tried not to sort of stray away from this is what our experiences have been, this is how we've done it. And you certainly see a lot of that narrative in the middle of the book by Brent about different times that we've used it with different successes, with different barriers that have been put in place. And I think that's why this book has worked so nicely, is that we've not stepped on one another's toes. We've all brought something quite different. We've all got a slightly different perspective on learning teams, on what it is that we can contribute to the space.
And I think that's really why this has worked really nicely.
Well, I look at this and I'll tell you, I was lucky enough to actually get an early copy of the book. And as I looked at it, I really felt that going over the information, it really expanded a lot on where Better Questions left off, kind of some of the components that it was building out. And I have to say, if I had to word it very shortly, this is going to be the gold standard of learning teams. This is going to be the book that people will need to read to have a better understanding of it. And I know that that's probably a terrible pressure point to put you on as you're on the line with me. But as you can see, based on some of the things that have happened since you released the book, a lot of people are already getting, the book's getting a lot of attention. So we'll call it phase 1 here. What's going to happen next? Is there another sequence? What is your plan, your next plan? And I know we're kind of in the middle of a pandemic right now, as we fully are aware. But where are you taking this next?
Well, the good news, Jay, from sort of my perspective, is living the furthest country in the world from everywhere else. We're used to dealing with distance and time. So for us, the pandemic is simply an inconvenience for a period of time, and we're wanting to use this as an opportunity to build community, because we have always been used to being able to do things remotely. Face to face has never been an issue for us from that perspective. I think once again, from the very beginning, we talked about the fact that there had to be 3 books, these things, that there has to be some form of sort of continuum for that. So the practice of learning teams was really about establishing that base layout. And I have to say, from my point of view, Todd's second to last book around the principles of human operational performance really helped, because one of the things that we I think one of the very first things that we did was to define what were the 5 principles of a learning team, because that was the bit that was the term missing's not fair. That the person, when they read the Better Question book, had to work out for themselves what those core principles were. And we wanted to be slightly more overt than that. And it's no different. Todd's book around those 5 principles has really helped HOP move along that direction. So we felt, to pay homage, we would do the same thing about learning teams.
Now, let's kind of go into that for a moment as we kind of go further a little bit down this path. You also want people to be fully aware that this is a separation of learning teams from HOP. Why did you decide to go down on this particular angle with it?
Well, from my perspective, there's 2 things. There are groups of people that are very evangelical, and they love what I call the latest shiny toy, and they typically jump from system to system. You have that other group that will try things out, and if they don't work, they'll blame others. I've certainly seen, from a health and safety perspective, this divide between what we call safety 1 people and safety 2. And I understand why those divides exist, and those divides aren't solvable. But we felt early on that learning teams was so powerful that learning teams could sit across any existing system and approach. That, when you try and put new systems in, we talk about the issues around convincing leadership, about creating those champions, getting those groundswell. We felt that learning teams wouldn't face those same types of issues, because learning and improving is a fundamental concept. What's your thoughts, Glynis?
Yeah, very much so. I think that learning teams, for me at least, is a framework to have meaningful dialogue. And I think sometimes we forget about doing that. I think sometimes we think that we are doing it, but actually what we're doing is very one-sided. So I think that this can complement an existing system. I don't think it needs to be a system aside from. It is something that you can use to get further and deeper understanding about what's really going on and how people are
inferring things, how people are translating ideas, how people are doing things. So for me, this doesn't have to compete with existing systems that people might use or existing frameworks. This is a framework so that you can get more meaningful dialogue.
Brent Robinson, what do you think?
Well, I looked at it from a lean perspective, and then it we'd been using 5 whys, and there's nothing wrong with 5 whys, but when we were applying it to some of the stuff that we were doing, we found that if we opened it up and didn't put a numeric around 5 or 4, or we didn't feel that we'd done the right job, only getting 4 whys instead of 5 when we're doing some of these things, and we just opened it up and let people have their input, and each person had a different level of input, and it was really, really good, and it deepened the conversation. And what I liked about it, and Brent has talked about this quite a bit, you could see the difference between individuals learning together and the organizational learning. And I used a couple of lean tools that we use to try and capture that and say, well, this is what it looks like, so that we could share it relatively easily across, the organization. And it was, for me, it was about that deeper learning. And there's a couple of instances that we talk about where, we just got some stuff out of it that we would never have got out with any of the other tools that we were using. And we're still using those tools. And I totally agree with Glynis that it just adds a new level to what you're doing, and it's incredibly powerful. And now there's a nice framework that you can say, well, whereabouts are you on that learning team's learning journey, and reflection was the other thing that really came out for us as well. Let the guys and girls go away and think about it, and then come back and get them back together again. And all those things just really started to gel on these different areas that we looked at.
So as you take a look at this whole thing across the board, so Brent Sutton just referenced a few moments ago that there's going to be a book 2 and 3. Now, I know that people are going to get their appetite whet with the book. What if they want to know more information? Do you have anything that's going to be coming up really geared towards the practice of learning teams? Like, is there like a workbook, a companion book, something along those lines to take a deeper dive?
So ultimately, part of the process going forward, Jay, is the practice of learning teams really establishes that framework, that ability. And I think one of the things, if I just take it back a little bit, one of the things that I learned from Glynis a long time ago was that we can't get practitioners to improve if we don't show them what good looks like. And part of that whole adult education piece that I've seen that's been missing a lot in safety around the world is that if we can't show someone what good looks like, and we don't give them the ability to understand where the gaps are, how can they possibly go down a journey of improvement? So book 1 is about that. Book 1 is about giving those people those principles. And as part of that, we will be looking to offer support to community around that by extending that. We've included in the book a whole raft of free resources, and those resources can also be found on the website learningteamsbook.com as well. And we are currently looking at how can we offer other types of things to the community to support them better, in terms of things like creating some journal-type products, or just ongoing support and mentoring. And we're even having that conversation about a book club, that ability for people to get together and simply reflect on what they've found from the process.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would, as we were talking, I think the one thing that we should possibly expand on is that notion of community of practice. And the thing that I really wanted to sort of maybe put across is that this is how we have developed this book, that we have a community of practice amongst the three of us. And we've seen the real value of being able to test our ideas out with one another and use one another as sort of almost like sense checkers. And I think that so much of what we're trying to achieve is a bigger,
notion of community of practice with practitioners that really can be from anywhere in the world, and that we have opportunities to test out and talk about what's working for us, what aids good practice, what detracts from good practice, and how do we make sure that we are canvassing the right information, both in terms of really providing workers with insight about how work is done, but also, as equally as important, for organisations, so that they're able to use that information and to inform practice.
And now, how soon are you thinking about going to market with something like this?
Within the month, basically.
And then, of course, I'm going to have to ask a couple of questions because I'm always curious about this. Are you putting out an audiobook version of this?
Of course. And once again, the interesting internal conversation is because the book is made up of three people and the foreword by Todd Conklin. Having those four voices across that book will be quite powerful. And, we're going through that learning experience at the moment on the whole Audible side of it. And the good news is that once we've gone through the pain and suffering of the first Audible book, the rest should become relatively straightforward.
Yeah, I've been told that in the past. Some guy named Todd Conklin has told me that a couple of times.
Yeah, look, even the difference between the printed book on Amazon and the Kindle book was a fascinating experience, for which I conducted my own learning team on.
So I'm going to ask the question because there's people out there that have asked me. We have briefly discussed it, and I think it might be time to let people know if you're okay with it. If not, we're kind of already on the hook because I already started talking about it. Can we talk about the podcast?
Absolutely. Would you like to start?
So why don't we throw it to somebody else and let's see what they have to say? Let's get their feeling about it. Are you doing a podcast?
Yes, we are.
Now everybody's heart sunk, and now let's move forward. So give me the reference on how this is going to look. What learning teams have you done to set up the podcast?
Oh yes. And we've gone full extent. We've done a complete mind map on this. So the first thing is we're wanting to do something that's a little bit different. And when we say different, we're looking at a podcast series where we're going to alternate between a practitioner's journey with learning teams, and we're going to alternate that with the ability for community to participate in a podcast as part of a learning team with the three of us. So the basic concept of the show, and of course the show is going to be called the Practice of Learning Teams, so that sort of makes perfect sense, is that when we look at a practitioner's journey, we'll interview a person, we'll look for about 5 key components from that, and then both myself, Glynis, and Brent will get together and we'll reflect on what that practitioner shared with us, and we'll provide some of those reflective views to the audience. At the same time, we'll ask the audience to participate in an online survey about how they felt about it, and also the types of things that they are trying to deal with. We're going to take those then and then create that into the second part of the format for the show, where we can take what the listeners are grappling with and then run that as a learning team with the three of us. So
essentially this podcast is going to be heavily driven by your listeners, audience members, on what they want to hear to move forward. Is that correct?
Yes, because they're the experts. We're not. We're the facilitators.
And then you had told me separately, and I don't know if I should bring it up now, that Glynis is the main host for the whole thing.
That's what we all agreed.
Oh, okay. Glynis is not going to say anything. I'm sorry, Glynis, we couldn't hear you. I guess you're agreeing to it. Okay, cool.
She's nodding her head.
No. I should just put out here that I'm really good at making scones. Okay, really good.
So do you have, so all joking aside, is there a rough date or a scheduled date for this to start, for the first episode to come out? What are you looking at timeline wise?
I'm hoping, Jay, that if it goes to plan, that we'll be talking early September.
Okay.
If we can.
And then just for us to be 100% open, this particular podcast will also be joining the Safety FM network of podcasts and the radio station aspect. That way people out there can take a listen on either method of what's going on. I've been very excited about this actually taking place, but I knew I couldn't talk about it until we did our interview here. So I'm really excited with what you've done as what the group has done with the book and what you're moving forward with. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience or more information on when they can get more info about what's going on with the book?
From our perspective, the podcast is really going to become the front end of this. That's going to be about providing that community, that ability to participate and build from that. And the book is really part of that learning experience for that person. And we'll continue to sort of promote that whole building a better community. And I think from my point of view, that's going to be so important. And it may be that we end up with separate streams around safety, quality, and operational excellence. And the thing that we haven't really spoken about, Jay, is that for many of our listeners, they have always thought about learning teams within the perspective of doing post-event investigations or post-event reviews. And this book really, I suppose, shatters that view, and that we believe that learning teams are going to be just as powerful, not just after things have actually happened, but also around the management of change, and also around this concept of a everyday learning team, which is building that distinction between what workers learn and what the organisation learns. And that from an everyday perspective, that is the ideal opportunity for organisations to learn by gathering what we call the intelligence, or that business intelligence that is happening with the workers in an everyday environment. So we're really looking to extend that whole notion of operational learning, which is, to me, is really, really exciting.
Yeah, we see a lot of opportunity in that particular space around the everyday learning and gathering, as Brent said, what the workers are learning individually. I see that, in the construction industry, I see it being really important, and there's going to be some great value derived from that as we move forward. So yeah, that's a super exciting part of what we're doing at the moment.
So when you first came up with the idea as a group for the everyday learning team, what sparked it? What was the lead that said, okay, boom, this is what we need to move forward with?
And if I look at it I was doing some work with a couple of large construction companies, and they have these pre-starts every morning, which there's a lot of very bored people standing around for 20 to 30 minutes a day. And so what we did is we flipped that round and then started asking the team that was there, what were the issues you're having yesterday? What could we do to improve them? And then trying to start that conversation off. And we started getting all this really cool feedback. And then it was about capturing it. And then the really important thing was doing something with it after that. And so Brent and I had spoken about it a few times, because and Glynis had experienced these pre-start things they do. And, if you've got 100 people standing around on site, and you're doing these pre-starts all over the place, and it's 30 minutes at $90 an hour, you want to make them as valuable as you possibly can. And that's where I really got I got super excited about that, because that's the stuff that's coming in every day. And how do we capture that, and how does the business derive some value out of that, as well as the people doing the work? And it's really interesting, because it really came back down to that question about workers imagined versus workers done, and understanding that difference.
I still think that a lot of us suffer at understanding exactly what that means, but I'm glad that you bring that up. And I say that sarcastically almost to an extent, as I mentioned that. So if people want to get more information, where can they go to get some more info about the book?
Right now, the website, learningteamsbook.com is the best place to go to at the moment. We're currently sort of, busy in the background, getting some platform component built up. And for people in the Europe, North America, South America, Asia markets, the book's on Amazon, both in print and Kindle edition. For our listeners based in the New Zealand and the Australian market, the Kindle version is available for download straight away. Obviously, they have to wait for the book version. If not, they can also pre-order the book on the same website, and we're shipping that out from here. And as you know, Jay, we're simply waiting for some stock to arrive at the moment.
Oh, I thought you were going to turn around and you're telling me that you're making author's copies where you're doing all three of you are signing them. No pressure there.
Sure. I'm not sure how COVID-19 relates to that. Because,
it probably will not go too well. People are like, don't touch anything right now.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
you're going to use a different pen.
Yeah, and lots of hand sanitizer on the page afterwards.
Yeah.
Look, we would love to come and do a book signing in the US. I'm just not too keen on the 2 weeks of isolation when I arrive and the 2 weeks of isolation when I return.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do that, might as well commit to coming here to Florida. I'm sure that you would really enjoy it.
Yes, and as we spoke with Todd the other day, I'll be building my own little bubble, my own little world to live in during that time.
I totally understood. Well, Glynis, Brent, and Brent, I really do appreciate you coming on.
Thanks very much, Jay. Really, it was fun.
Okay, Safety FM listeners, a lot of information to unpack here, that's for sure. I appreciate you taking a listen to this episode that we have going on today. But let's talk about a couple things that came off the show here. The Practice of Learning Teams is now available on Amazon. If you're interested in taking a look for the book, you can go to Amazon.com/shop/SafetyFM. And we have the book readily available right there for you. Also, the Practice of Learning Teams podcast will be available on Safety FM coming next month. So we'll actually have some more information about that as it tends to start rolling out. Additionally, if you're interested in the chance of winning a free copy of the Practice of Learning Teams, go to safetyfm.com/contest. That's safetyfm.com/contest. This contest is open worldwide. So let's make sure that we're clear on that one. To find out more information about what's going on with the Practice of Learning Teams, the community, and the book, go to learningteambooks.com. A lot of information right there. We're going to actually have some more information in the notes at the very bottom of the episode. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM, and that is the listener. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this new book, The Practice of Learning Teams, with authors Brent Sutton, Glynis McCarthy, and Brent Robinson, forward by Todd Conklin. Remember, Safety FM is the home of real safety talk. We'll be back with another episode of The Jay Allen Show before too long. Goodbye for now.
Want more of The Jay Allen Show? Go to safetyfm.com.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.